Hello Tallahassee and welcome to the Friday edition of FSU Weather. We're looking at a beautiful sunset over Doak Campbell Stadium right now. 86 degrees, we've got some nice clouds in here, but no rain unlike the last few days. Beautiful conditions and wind only about 8 miles per hour from the north-northwest. So enjoy these conditions while they last, Tallahassee. I'm sure we're all tired of the deluge we've been experiencing for the last week. Nice temps for the region. It's going to be mostly around the mid-80s right now. 84 in Thomasville, 86 in Tallahassee, maybe a little bit on the cooler side as we get towards the coast, 84 in Apalachicola as well. Muggy meter really showing how we really don't have as bad conditions as we've had before. Really looking at Miami and Key West, seeing those absolutely disgusting conditions down there. As you move up through the state, though, we're seeing us shocked at how not humid it is right now here in Tallahassee. Absolutely beautiful conditions. Tonight in Tallahassee, it's going to be 66 degrees, and tomorrow it is going to be around in the 80s. But tonight's headlines are going to be very nice for us. Sunny weekend ahead, fall temperatures above average for most of the U.S. and today in weather history. You're going to talk about all of this on our show, and stay tuned with FSU Weather.
It has been a deluge the last few days. Honestly, just seeing all the rain, making waterfalls and rivers of our sidewalks and our hills in Tallahassee. Luckily, we are no longer having to deal with that for the next few days. At least today has been quite sunny. Of course, with that, it's the trade-off of pretty warm conditions, and we're still pretty muggy too. So while we haven't gotten rid of that rain, we haven't gotten rid of those really muggy conditions. But overall, it's been quite enjoyable to see the sun out, and we'll get to see more of that this weekend. We'll talk more about that on the show as we get into some of the local weather here in the next few days. But with that, I guess we'll toss things off to the wall to talk with Genevieve, our new weathercaster.
That's right, Chandler. So for tonight's headlines, we're looking at a sunny week ahead, fall temperatures above average in most of the United States, and today we'll take a look at the weather desk. Now, for today's temperature almanac, we're looking at a high of 88 degrees, a low of 70. Not too far from the average, but luckily we're getting in more of a gap between temperatures, meaning that some drier air is coming. That being said, we are far from the record temperatures. Taking a live look at Doak Campbell Stadium, we're looking at a nice 86 degrees, partly cloudy, winds coming in at north-northwest at 8 miles per hour. Looking at the current radar for Tallahassee, we're seeing some light cloud coverage, not too much, some slight storms coming through Carabel, maybe more towards the coast, towards Cross City, further into Gainesville. Current local temps, we're looking at a nice warm 86 degrees here in Tallahassee, similar in Perry, 81 in Thomasville, 84 in Valdosta. Now for the wind speed, we're looking at a pretty moderate 7 miles per hour here in Tallahassee. Sumatra looking at no wind at all, and similar in Donaldsonville and Thomasville. Dew point 69 here in Tallahassee, pretty muggy, even worse in Perry, 72. Similar all around the Tallahassee area. Looking at our future radar going into the weekend, similar to what I said before, some light cloud coverage, but for the most part, will be pretty clear for the weekend. Tonight's lows, we're looking at 65 degrees here in Tallahassee, similar temperatures all around the area, 67 down here in Apalachicola. Tonight in Tally, 66 degrees, partly cloudy, so feel free to hit the town. Here, Panama City Beach, where our other FSU campus is, we have a nice 86 degrees here in the air, 79 in the water, nice temperature to go into the water. And don't worry about surfing, because hopefully you won't be surfing much at 1 foot tall waves. UV index is 2, so you won't be getting much of a tan either. I'm sorry about that. looking at the week ahead here, we have some pretty sunny days for the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, 85 all the way through. Similar temperatures going in through Monday, Tuesday, all through next week. So if you feel like celebrating Columbus Day or Indigenous Peoples Day, you are welcome to, and it will be a very nice day. 66 degrees for the low, mid-60s all the way through, and we are going to pass it off to Robert with the Florida forecast.
Right, thank you, Genevieve. We are going to be looking at more of our Florida weather, and really that story that we have a lot of sunshine going around. It really is being born out here in Florida. You can see on Panama City Beach, nice beautiful sunset here. Clouds really accentuating this nice bright sun, really taking us into our evening here. And here's the reason why we have such nice and sunny conditions. There's not a lot going on in the region, and there is a little bit off towards our south and east, a little bit of a reminder of what we've been going on through the last few days. We have a few storms across the I-75 corridor. That's really moving its way out of the region, and through this weekend, we're going to have a nice and beautiful weekend for us to experience. But here's what we were dealing with. We aren't now. It's moving its way off towards the east along the I-95 corridor. Some very heavy showers and thunderstorms going from Daytona Beach off down south of Volusia County. You guys are going to see some very heavy showers and thunderstorms maybe into the Orlando area as well. So make sure during your evening commute tonight you stay very careful, because some of these roads might get a little bit wet and a little bit harder to drive on. Not really as bad for the rest of South Florida here. It's really staying a little bit north of the Broward and Palm Beach County areas, but you might see a stray shower or two, particularly down towards Miami-Dade County, maybe another shower making its way off towards Key West as well. So again, just be mindful tonight. It's not going to be anything severe, nothing too crazy, but maybe just a shower to make your evening commute just a little bit harder. Current temperatures are going to be fairly nice for most of us compared to how they were in our summer here. 80s for most of us across the North Florida region, but those showers and thunderstorms keeping things a little bit cooler for you guys in Jacksonville, Gainesville, and Orlando, sitting around the upper 70s, low 80s, and looking towards 90 conditions. You guys aren't really getting in on that nice cool conditions that we have up here. 90s for Fort Myers and 86 for Tampa, but again, West Palm Beach and Miami, you guys are a little bit middle of the pack there, seeing some showers and thunderstorms and in the 80s. Muggy meter really showing this contrast here, nice up here, but down as you get towards South Florida, it is a little bit more oppressive. Future radar showing these storms sort of making their way into South Florida a little bit more as we get into the weekend. More showers and thunderstorms probably expected for you across the east coast of Florida, but it starts to clear out as we get into Sunday. Most of the state is going to be pretty nice and clear of any showers and thunderstorms activity by the end of the weekend. Tonight in Florida, we're seeing very nice conditions for all of us here, 60s, 80s across the state as well. So again, very nice conditions that we're expecting here. Miami, it's going to be mostly 80s for you. Lots of showers and thunderstorms activity. Tampa, we're seeing 80s, but not as much in the showers and thunderstorms, so you guys are going to be definitely enjoying that as well. Orlando, seeing 80s and a little bit more on these showers and thunderstorms for you guys. As you move up north, a little bit cooler, and those thunderstorms activity has decreased a little bit. And finally, as we go towards Pensacola, seeing that shower and thunderstorm activity finally at a very low, around 10% chance of rain. So now we're going to pass things off to Chandler.
That is right, Robert, and let's keep things in the southeast, but expand the view a little bit, taking a look at the rest of the southeast. First, we'll start off with Gainesville. They are cloudy. Haha, we win. Looking at Blacksburg, Virginia, they have, of course, some rainy conditions going on up there closer to the mountains. Georgia, Atlanta, ooh, you guys have some pretty blue skies out there. And, of course, going into Bowling Green, Kentucky, one of our more northern southeastern brethren. They are at 80 degrees and pretty sunny skies. Looking at that satellite radar, you can see some showers off to our east coast. Nothing, though, as you make your way towards the west, towards Memphis and Arkansas and Louisiana. Quite beautiful conditions. But taking a closer look at this storm right here, we'll talk about it a little more at the tropical desk. It does have a chance to develop into somewhat of a subtropical system. And it is kind of moving a little bit closer offshore, but it kind of has a little bit of a rotation to it. So you can expect as it makes its way north that it will provide a little bit of those showers and potentially a couple squall showers for the Carolinas. And taking a look at those current conditions, again, 80s in Florida, and really, honestly, we're cooler compared to some places in the southeast. 93 in Shreveport and 90 in Jackson. quite warm conditions across most of the southeast. Definitely not what you would want to see in October, at least for me being a fall person. And taking a look at those winds, we have some winds coming out of the north, but don't let that fool you. It is still quite warm. Those winds are very warm, in matter of fact. Taking a look at those dew points, though, they are a bit drier once you get out to Shreveport and Jackson, so that is one trade-off. We have much muggier conditions once you get into Central and South Florida, and even here in Tallahassee at 69. And look, water vapor, you can see the disturbance that I was just mentioning earlier, quite a large system, in fact, and, well, it will provide a little bit of those showers and activity across the East Coast, and you can see that it will potentially cause a little bit of thunder, but nothing severe. And future radar, well, just as I hinted, it will try to make a little bit of moisture and a little bit of rainy conditions for a lot of the North Carolina and South Carolina coastline. But once you make your way west, there is no showers in sight. For tonight's lows, 60s across most of the area, 66 in Little Rock. We see that there might be a few clouds in the western area, but the main source of clouds is actually in Florida and on the South Carolina coastline. Well, we'll stay in the 70s in Florida because of those clouds trapping in that heat and keeping us like a blanket, pretty warm. Looking at tomorrow's highs, 80s across most of the area, and again, rinse and repeat of what we've seen today and what we can expect through the week ahead. Robert, how about you take it away with the national view?
Right, thank you, Chandler. We are experiencing a little bit more sunny conditions for most of us here in the southeast. That's us a little bit under the influence of that high pressure, but not all of the nation is experiencing that right now, particularly in the west. A lot of disturbed weather for you guys associated along a bit of a stationary front that is going to be making our weather a little bit wet for this Friday. Also seeing some shower activity towards Illinois and you guys up towards Wisconsin and Michigan. And also we do have a stationary front pushing up some weather into the Carolinas as well. Most of the rest of the nation enjoying high pressure systems right now, but that could change in the next few weeks as I'm about to explain. Satellite radar again showing most of our disturbed weather is across either the east or the west. Most of the central plains really enjoying nice rain-free conditions for us here, and even the west coast also getting in on that. Most of the rain for us is in here in the interior west, seeing some heavier showers actually as we get towards Idaho, parts like Boise. You guys might see some rainier conditions going into the commute for tonight. And Utah really just covered by rain here, but as we look towards the west coast, San Francisco, Seattle, Portland, you guys are really missing out on all the rain activity here, so you guys should expect a fairly nice commute for tonight. The other system that we're looking at here, you can see, has a little bit of counterclockwise flow. That is our low here. And this is a little bit of a system that is going to create some rain for you guys in Michigan, maybe a little bit of Ontario, and maybe into Manitoba as well, but no severe weather expected here, just a little bit of a rain maker. Also down here, our big weather maker is this system right here. As Chandler said, this could sort of wrap into a system as it's going into the Carolinas. Not much development expected right now, but we could maybe see some in the future. All of that's sort of moving offshore now, so most of us in the southeast. I know we've been having a lot of rain over the past week or so, really experiencing nice and dry conditions. Our big picture here really showing a bit of a temperature gradient. The west here experiencing nice 60s and 70s, but as you move towards the plains, seeing this really warm conditions, particularly in Texas and even Kansas City in the 80s and 90s. And we're really not seeing that as much towards the east, maybe for us here in Tallahassee and Memphis, but as we get towards Boston, we have a 63 reading here, 74 in Washington, D.C. So again, beautiful conditions. For some of us, not so much for some more of us. It really depends where you are in the nation. And that really is going to be accentuated by this 8 to 14-day temperature outlook, because we do have above average conditions for the eastern two-thirds, most of the population of the United States. But we actually do have a chance on the west coast for you guys in California, Oregon, and Portland, or Oregon and Portland. Portland is in Oregon, I believe, but also, excuse me, in Washington, we do have a little bit chance of likely below average weather and equal chances for most of the interior west. So again, very nice conditions for you guys. Going to be a little bit warmer than normal for you guys in Minnesota, however, so just be prepared for that going into our next week and maybe even two here as we're looking towards the future. Dew points are showing a big gradient across the middle half of the nation, 60s and 70s for most of us across the east, but as we look west, seeing more in the 40s and 30s, so I'm sure all of you guys, except for a little portion or quite close to the Colorado River, are experiencing very nice and dry conditions for us in those regions. but not really nice. I should amend that statement because the drought monitor is showing it is still abnormally, even severe or extreme or even exceptional drought for most of you across the west, but the east not really dealing with those kind of conditions. Future radar is showing us some very nice conditions across the nation. We actually don't have a radar loaded at the moment, but it is going to be fairly nice. But as we get into this weekend, we're watching a situation that could develop in the center part of the nation, particularly over Oklahoma City and Dallas and Fort Worth, for potential maybe even enhanced or moderate risk for severe weather. So again, if you're in those areas, be sure to stay tuned. Nice temperatures for tonight here, 60s and 70s for most of the nation, and for tomorrow's highs are going to be 90s and 70s. So I'm going to pass things off to Chandler now for some more desk action.
Absolutely, and well, we're going to take a look at weather and history, and if we can get that graphic pulled up, we'll first start off with the oldest of the big weather-related events that happened, and that was the Chicago fire back in 1871. It was a big bad combo of a drought plus gusty winds that led to a huge, massive, destructive event, killing over 200 people and destroying several thousand buildings. It was one of the biggest events to occur in Chicago that really did lead to a lot of destruction. But taking a look at something that's a little more on the interesting and fun side, we had an unusually early snowstorm in South Dakota in 1982. It created 4.5 feet of snow, which for any snow weenie like Robert, who just exited the screen, and also I'll throw myself in there as well. I love some big, huge snow events, and that's what we saw back in 1982 in South Dakota and a little bit of Wyoming. In 2000, taking it back home here to Tallahassee, we saw 3 straight days of below average conditions. In fact, it actually set our minimum record 3 straight times in a row. And that's for most of the country, but especially here in Tallahassee. Quite crazy conditions overall. But now we'll take it back to Robert to talk about not so cold conditions, but actually the tropics.
Right, thank you, Chandler. We are looking at some maybe tropical conditions developing. We've been hinting at it just a little bit throughout this show. We're going to go a little more into detail, but first, let's have a look at our names here. I know we've been running down to the end of our list. We are now all the way down from Anna, all the way down to Wanda. We've made it here. Some people didn't think we'd make it this far, but we have had another above average season by far, and it is at this point quite likely that we will get rid of Wanda, though at this point, again, who could say? We are looking at this next list, the supplemental name list. If we do get through Wanda, these will be our names, and they are some very interesting ones, so keep these in mind. These might be affecting your weather over the next few weeks, particularly these names if we do get down the list. And here's potentially the next big chance that we have for anything that would get named. Not necessarily a huge chance. It's only at 40% right now, but it has been ticking up a little bit over the past few days, so keep this in mind out here. A little bit of a depression. It's actually a little bit east of that shower and storm activity that we talked about earlier, so that's not necessarily the tropical system that we're watching. This one right here is the 40%, and it could develop into that region, take some of that moisture from that other system, and become an actual maybe depression or even storm. But the chances, again, it's odds on that it won't form right now, but we do have increasing chances. So a little bit of an interesting situation here. Keep this in mind. Nothing to be worried about here. No sort of mega canes that we're really expecting making landfall anytime soon. But again, always important during this time of year, even if there's nothing out in the basin, to stay prepared and continue watching the tropics and make sure you have all your supplies ready just in case something develops up. Water vapor really showing we do have a bit of a quiet basin right now. Aside from this system right here, we actually have a little bit of dry air intruding into the Gulf right now and across most of the Atlantic. No sort of big concentrations of water vapor, though we do have generally moist conditions out there. So again, something potentially could form in the next few weeks from any of these basins. It is always important to keep that in mind, even if it's not necessarily active. And here's the reason why. Sea surface temperatures are still fairly warm, particularly in the Gulf. This is the region that we're looking at for this climatologically part of October. That is why we are still concerned here, because climatologically storms can form and move their way up north, and that could potentially impact us. Again, not making any sort of predictions about those storms. There's no sort of disturbances there right now, but again, we do have that. And then one more system we're talking about in the Eastern Pacific, a 90% chance for that. Not going to affect us at all. It's in a different basin, but we do have tropical activity in our neighbor basin. So now we're going to pass things off, to Genevieve.
Thank you so much, Robert, for that lovely report on the tropics. Here we're going to look at the temperature almanac. We're looking at a nice high of 88 degrees, pretty warm for what we should be feeling with these fall temperatures. 70 degrees is our low. Not too far from the average, but still, it's pretty warm for this time of year. Far from our records of 94 and 37, though. Now, a live look at Doak Campbell Stadium. We have a nice 86 degrees, partly cloudy. You see that sun peering through. I think we'll be getting a nice sunset tonight. Currently, looking at our Doppler radar, we see just some moisture in the air, but really, like I said earlier, maybe a few storms through Carabel and down here through Cross City and Live Oak, but not too much to worry about. It's all clear for the night. Hour by hour for today, we started off the morning, early hours of the morning, at really a nice mid-70s, but as the day went on, we got into the mid to upper 80s, and that's where we're sitting at right now. Currently, we're looking at 86 degrees here in Tallahassee. Perry, similar, 85 degrees. 82 in Thomasville, 84 in Apalachicola, mid-80s all the way through the Tallahassee area. For our muggy meter here in Tallahassee, we're looking at a pretty moderate humid. It's pretty humid in the air, I'd say. My hair tends to frizz up just a little bit once I walk out the door. But somewhere down in Miami, my hometown, looking pretty humid as per usual. For tonight's lows, we're looking at a nice 65 degrees, pretty nice if you're going out tonight. 66 in Perry, similar mid-60s, mid to lower 60s throughout the upper Tallahassee area. But in Apalachicola, 67, pretty warm still. For the future radar, we're seeing some storms actually coming through more towards the east, maybe through Perry we'll be passing through, but not much. Nothing here in Tallahassee. For our lovely beach forecast in Panama City Beach, home of our other FSU campus, we are looking at a nice 86 degrees in the air, 79 in the water. Really nice temperature to get in, though you won't be surfing much with 1 foot waves. And a UV index of 2, you won't be getting much tan either. Winds coming in at 6 knots. Tonight here in Tally, we're looking at a nice 66 degrees, partly cloudy, pretty calm winds. And the week ahead, we'll be seeing mid to high 80s all the way through, lows of upper 60s. I'm going to pass it off to Chandler with some sports for you.
That is right. Unlike the inactive weather that we're about to see, we also have a very active football and sports to talk about, especially starting with North Carolina versus FSU. We're hoping that FSU can continue their ways and maybe win another game, maybe. That might be a little much to ask. But we're going to start off with 69. A lot of rain that we were talking about earlier with that system that Robert was mentioning. So a bit of those showers that will be rolling through. In fact, let's take a look at the future radar. Starting Friday evening, we can see that these showers are going to really surge through the triad area. And we have some heavier downpours actually that can make their way through, especially in the evening hours and the late afternoon hours. As far as swimming and diving, we're going to see the FIU TWR Classic Swim Meet. And, well, it'll be quite enjoyable conditions, 82, 83, 85. So overall, pretty great for South Florida, and all of this expected around noontime. And taking a look at the future radar, of course, luckily this is an event that's held inside. So, well, we won't have to deal with those showers until you guys are exiting the area. And you can see that some of the showers will make their way, pop off closer to about 2 p.m. So if you guys are hanging around after the game, make sure you guys get out of there a little bit sooner rather than later. Taking a look at women's volleyball Sunday, they're playing Duke. So again, we'll take it back up to North Carolina. But you can see that they'll fare a little bit better, especially on Sunday with 88 degrees is what they'll start with, getting up to about 93. But you guys won't have to experience that as much. But now exiting, you could potentially see a bit of rain whenever you're leaving the game. And taking a look at that future radar, again, some of these showers really making their way through in the Saturday hours, but once we start getting into the Sunday hours, things start to wind down a little bit, especially for the Triad area in Durham where Duke is. And taking a look at women's soccer, that is our one home game for this weekend. And, well, we'll see basically sunny skies like Genevieve was mentioning earlier, so quite enjoyable conditions, although there is one catch to this, and that is the dew points. We're looking at pretty sticky conditions, so we will see in those mid-80s whenever we're watching the game about noontime. So bring your hat, bring your sunglasses, maybe bring some water and a towel to towel off, but go cheer them on. They are undefeated, man. Taking a look at the future radar, though, of course, there's going to be basically no activity for the Big Bend region, so a great contrast to what we're seeing in the volleyball area, or the volleyball and the football game up in North Carolina. But great, enjoyable conditions overall, and now we'll take things to the desk.
Thank you so much, Chandler, for that lovely report on sports. I know that I'll be rooting on our Lady Knowles with our soccer team. We're doing so great so far. All wins all the way through. We're hoping for another one. Here we're getting a live look at Doak Campbell Stadium. Like I said, that sun peering through. We're going to get a lovely sunset for the night. Here we are, a nice 86 degrees, partly cloudy, winds very calm at northwest 5 miles per hour. Current radar, some moisture in the air through Tallahassee, all through the Tallahassee area. Not too much else going on. We'll be having some pretty clear skies for the night. A date night forecast, 66 degrees, partly cloudy. It's really a nice night to go out. Won't be seeing much rain, so ladies, feel free to break out the high heels, put on your dress, and look good for the night. For our concert, we have Brooks and Dunn concert from 7 to 10 p.m. at the Mid-Florida Credit Union Amphitheater. Sadly, we're going to be seeing some showers there. The wind is going to be pretty calm, though, but 75 degrees, which sounds pretty nice. Current radar for that area, Tampa, St. Pete area, we're getting quite a lot of storms coming through here. A lot more going through into Bartow and Fort Lauderdale, but be wary if you're in this area. Our dog walk forecast. If you've got the pup, feel free to bring him out, or her, at 7 a.m. for a nice 67 degrees. I know that pup will love the air going right through its fur. 9 a.m., 70 degrees, gets quite hotter at 11 at 77 degrees though. Women's soccer, we're looking at our Lady Knowles, 79 degrees at noon, pretty warm, and it just gets warmer throughout the day. Future radar, for the weekend, the storm should be all clearing out. We'll still have our moisture through the air, but we'll be getting some pretty clear skies. For our 3-day weather forecast for the weekend, we're looking at a nice, it's pretty sunny, 85 degrees.
Thank you. And we'd actually like to congratulate Genevieve on her first show here. We always like to have new additions to the FSU weather team, and we always like to see fresh new faces, and Genevieve is one of our newest ones again. But we'd like to also say, first off, follow us on Twitter and Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at FSU Weather. We do stream live at 6 p.m. We got a really nice week here for us. A little bit of rainy conditions, as Chandler said, those showers are really popping off. But now we have some warmer conditions getting into the region, and we're going to experience nice and sunny conditions. But again, congratulations to Genevieve. We always like to see new talent join the team, and she is definitely a bright one. So now we're going to close things out, and thank you for joining this edition of FSU Weather. I am Robert Zott.